Good to know. Good to know. Can we talk about New Zealand? Speaking of being mentally strong, last year you guys beat New Zealand in Auckland to win the inaugural Women's 15 competition. But that was revenge, wasn't it, really, for the World Cup final in which England were runners-up. And England Rugby, you guys have been runners-up, not you guys, but as a team, runners-up something like 6 times over the years as well with the 2 victories. What were the highlights for you both of that final last year, of beating them, how much that meant to you?
I just loved the whole experience. I mean, we never saw it as a revenge thing. It was kind of, it's a fresh start. It's a new team. They had a new team. You couldn't see it as the same game again because it just wasn't. And I think what was really good is we had a different style of play. We had new coaches in and, like I said, new players to just showcase what this side can really do and show what is to come and more for 2025. So, you know, you stand against the Haka and I don't find it scary.
There was just no pressure. I think that's what it was. Like the whole tournament, the whole tour of New Zealand, no pressure. Like there was no pressure to win the whole tournament, to win 1 game, to win all 3 games. Like there was nothing. And yeah, I think I agree, standing against the Haka. I didn't do it at the World Cup, so I don't know how actually that felt. But I think, I was just a bit like, no,
it's actually sweet.
Yeah, like
we felt sweet. Like first 20, I was like, we're sweet. We're actually okay now.
Obviously, like it was a game, and they're phenomenal rugby players, and they're a phenomenal team. But I think we just really gelled together on that tour. It was different. The whole tour I think had a different feeling, which I think is exciting, and that we're just going to grow from that and keep getting better. And hopefully we get to have it a 6th Grand Slam to our name, come end of April. So I think New Zealand was really good, and I've got a lot of fond memories of it now, and I think a lot of people have, and I think it's actually quite cool to have gone back and not rewrite it, because obviously the World Cup is a big thing, but the whole experience was just different. But I think I have fonder memories of that, and like that's how now I remember New Zealand. I don't remember it.
I think you, like you said, I think you've hit the nail on the head with like the no pressure. Like it just felt like any game we could have gone into it with, this is the revenge match we're gonna get, but it genuinely we just played. And if you watch back, how many smiles are on our faces when we're playing probably speaks more than what I can do now. But yeah, it was just so enjoyable, and it just shows where in such a short time we'd grown too, but also we left so many things out there that we know that there's so much more to come as well. And
if you didn't have lax ankle stability, then maybe you would have scored that sick try.
2 disallowed tries, and I'm like, I just wanted to do the celebration.
I know. You still did it though.
I know, I did it on one and then I disallowed try.
Yeah. Rewind. Oh gosh. Sounds like there was a lot of freedom then in the way you were able to play. Can we take it back, though, to the World Cup final and what you feel looking back now, reflecting on it, what went wrong, perhaps, what didn't quite go right, what the difference was? Was it the pressure, the expectation? Can you put into words the feeling of losing a World Cup final?
Yeah, I don't think we could have done anything more. We got carded pretty early on, but despite that happening, we played incredibly well. I don't think it made that much of a difference, because it just showed 2 of the top teams in the world going literally head to head. And it was probably one of the best games of rugby that anybody will say has happened, men or women's.
I was screaming hoarse at the telly, watching.
Like the whole game happened, and when we had that line out, we were in the red. I looked up at the clock, so I'm further out. I thought, we're driving this, we'll be fine. And I literally remember going, I covering my mouth, I went, we've fucking won it. And then I looked back and it was getting stolen. And at that point, I just dropped to my knees, and I think it's the best thing that could have happened to us. I think we could have come away from there, and yes, it was heartbreak, but I think it's the best thing that could have happened, not just for us, but for the game, because if we would have won that, we would have come back. We probably wouldn't have made the learnings that we needed to make, and now we've got an opportunity to write our own fairy tale. If we came back, everyone would expect us to win the next World Cup. But what it's done for the game is created a competition, and it's created, like I said, this story of who is going to win this World Cup. The gaps, yes, being closed, but we saw what happened in the last World Cup, and there's so much that's going to go on. So yeah, in terms of the team piece, there's that. I know personally, I got back to the changing room and I wanted to play again. I was like, nah, this is a half time. We need to go out again.
Wow.
But even though I was so tired, I felt like I just wanted to do it again because it was just such an amazing game, despite the ending. But
the adrenaline probably.
The adrenaline,
was just running through you.
And look, it is sad. We lost, but we lost, and that's it. Like there's no other thing that we can do. You can't go back in time, but you can just write the future a little bit more. So, I'm just excited to do it again. I literally wanted the World Cup to happen like that. Like I was like,
it is.
No, I know.
This time next year,
it's coming quickly.
It is coming quick. It is coming quick. But I want it to be a World Cup now. Like as soon as we got on the plane, because it's just such a good tournament anyway. But I just think it's so. I can't even put into words how exciting it is to be able to even be part of a World Cup squad. But the game's going to change, and it's the golden era of women's sport, and we're very much part of that. So I'm just excited to see what happens.
Can we touch on that then? Because
Yes.
You're saying it's a golden age for women's sport, and I love that, and I feel it. I've been covering women's sport since 2011, 2012, right? And the media coverage now compared to where we used to be is an amazing leap that we've made. I remember 2012 was this seminal moment for women's sport with so many incredible female athletes winning brilliant gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals. And then you looked at the media coverage, and aside from the Olympic Games, it was something like 2 to 3%, which is pitiful.
Yeah.
And then that's leapt in recent studies to something around 15%. But you look at the numbers around, in whether it's participation, whether it's viewership, whether it's actually bums on seats in stadiums, everything is growing, right? How do we keep this interest? How do we keep growing these audiences? Because I think the 15% shows we've still got 85% to go until we are, probably 50-50 until we are reaching levels towards what male sport is receiving. And equally, I don't think those numbers should be a target or a limit. They should be, okay, how can we keep growing? Like you say, growing this gap, the growth should be infinite, right? Well, so where do you think we go from here, Ellie, for you?
I think, I don't like comparing to the men. I think it's a very different product to the men.
100%.
So there's no point saying we want to be where the men are, because ultimately we're a completely different thing. Yeah. So for me, you look at the research, and everybody that comes to a women's game comes back to a women's game. It's a very different atmosphere to other things, and it's friends and family. It's a day out where you can just enjoy a sport. It doesn't matter who's playing. And I think as long as we keep showing that we can play as rugby, from a rugby point of view, we keep showing how powerful we are as women, and we can inspire other women, but also men as well, and children, and the older generation to get involved in sport one way or another. But I think as well, we need the opportunity to be more than rugby players. And if you don't enjoy rugby, ultimately it doesn't matter. But if you've got an interest in something that I do, it might be you like my hair and you want the opportunity to speak to me about my hair, you're going to have an opportunity by coming to a game, and then you might be like, I actually really like that. So people need to step out the box. And I'm doing something at the moment and working on a project where it kind of does that. There's no point, and I don't want to just drop that in there, but 5022 Studios. But I want to market the game in a different way, show our personalities, show who we are, because we are rugby players, yes, but we are more than rugby players also. Everyone sees us one day a week and think that's the product. But there's 6 other days that we need to show, and we need to showcase that. And I want to go and get, fashion, art, music, culture come into the games, because I think that's where it'll change it. It'll become almost like trendy to come to a female rugby game, and people at grassroots level and at kids levels will stop getting bullied for playing rugby. You talk to any of the rugby girls and there'll be one story, like in whatever form, that there's a negative reason why you're playing. And I'm just sick of hearing it. I'm sick of having to speak to young girls and them saying that they're being bullied because they play rugby, when really it's really cool. And we do some really good things as well. So I think that if we can market the game in that way, more bums will come on the seats. And more will be shown on us as not just rugby players, but as powerful women, because we are powerful women and we're here to make change, and we've got the ability to do that if we've just got that lens that shows people who we are.
Pod.
Rugby pod.